Good afternoon. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Titan Territory in the University of Detroit Mercy in Callahan Hall for Homecoming in April. That's what we're calling this today. It's fantastic. Absolutely. Most universities hold it in the fall, but we're holding it here in the spring, here in April, here at UDM with today's announcement. My name is Matt Derry. For those of you that don't know me, longtime radio and TV voice of the Detroit Titans. Had the honor of working with the man of the hour for many years, whether he was a player or an assistant coach. You will not find a better person. You will not find a better fit for us here with the red, white, and blue. Absolutely. You'll hear from everybody up on this stage. Don't worry, Makai and Keisha, not you guys, unless you want to. After the press conference is over, and certainly Bacari will take some questions up here. We'll also break up into some one-on-ones. Everybody will be made available, including Chris Jenkins of the team, who's up in the rafters there in section 313. Let's start it off by hearing from the president and a guy with a great vision for this university. Let's welcome up Dr. Antoine Garibaldi.
Good morning. And I also want to welcome you to University of Detroit Mercy's McNichols campus, and particularly historic Callahan Hall, built in 1952. I'm Antoine Garibaldi, and it's an honor to serve as president of this university for the last 5 years. And for those alumni and friends who are watching online from around the Detroit area, the state of Michigan, the country, and also the world, we welcome you too, and thank you for your interest and support of the Titans. As I've traveled around the country over the last few years, meeting with and speaking to alumni and friends and supporters, the first question I'm always asked is, how is Detroit doing? My answer, of course, is always positive and upbeat. And today's athletic announcement is a reflection of the current spirit and mood of our city as well as this university. We are on the move, focused on the future, incredibly optimistic, and filled with energy. And we're very excited about the future of this city and also this university as we and many other business and residential partners are working together as a team. University of Detroit Mercy has been in this city since 1877, and the first academic and administrative buildings were completed on this land in the fall of 1927. The property was purchased in 1922 by Father John McNichols. Fast forward almost 90 years later, the university is part of a new chapter in Detroit's history and is among the community organizations leading the new Live 6 Alliance in this part of the city. And this effort will bring new housing, new businesses, and improved quality of life along the major streets and in the neighborhoods surrounding this city, and this campus in particular. Over the next few years, when you and other alumni and friends come to watch the Titans men's and women's basketball teams here at Callahan Hall, we want you to see the revitalization that will be occurring in and around the neighborhood as our new coach builds a program that leads the Horizon League and competes at a national level. As he raises the proverbial goal for his student athletes, the university will be expanding its efforts also to assure that Detroit comes back as strong as the Titans will. There's no question that a successful Titan athletics program will energize the university and Detroit and stimulate even larger numbers of applications than the almost 5,000 applications we have thus far for our fall 2016 class. I know our coach is up to the challenge. Because he is an alumnus, it will be easy for him to convey the university's 4 key messages: great academics, great Jesuit and Mercy values, great American city, and great outcomes. He is from Detroit. He has excelled academically, athletically, and professionally, and he knows what it takes to win. Before I invite our Director of Athletics, Robert Vowles, to come forward, I want to express my thanks to the 10-member search committee, which Robert chaired, for the many hours of work that they put in reviewing the extensive materials of the candidates and also interviewing the finalists. The committee included representatives of the faculty, the university administration, athletics, and also the Board of Trustees. And now as I bring up Robert Vowles, Robert has been Director of Athletics for over 3 years and oversees our 19 Division I men's and women's programs. He came to UDM after 7 years at the NCAA, where he was the Vice President for Student-Athlete Well-Being. And Robert has been a commissioner of 2 conferences in this nation and also was a student-athlete in football at Duke University. Ladies and gentlemen, Director of Athletics, Robert Vowles.
Good morning. Welcome to the press conference today. 2016, Detroit Mercy's new head coach, and he's not a stranger. I want to thank everyone that was involved in this process. Internally, Steve Quarter, Mike Miller, Terry Cromrye, Amy Gasol. The search committee, Terry Page, Board of Trustee, attorney, Monica Williams, Associate VP, Student Affairs, Vince Adrian-Marco, Vice President for Business and Finance, Zach Bolton, President of Detroit Titan Athletic Club Board of Directors, Dr. Carla Groh, our faculty rep and Professor of Nursing and Women's Studies, Terry Cromrye, Associate AD, Senior Women Administrator, Bernard Scott, Head Women's Basketball Coach. I also want to thank Dr. Garibaldi for his unwavering support throughout this process. And during his 5 years here at Detroit Mercy, his support for athletics, all the departments in schools and colleges has been phenomenal. I want to personally thank Jermaine Jackson. He and I have many hours talking on what we're trying to do in these last 3 weeks. And he constantly tells me, as being a proud alum, that he knows what he's doing. His hard work and leadership over these past 3 weeks has been unwavering and has been extreme big help to me. He helped assist the basketball staff get through this period of time so that we can finish strong academically as our tests come up and finals come up. I want to thank each member of the men's basketball team for during this period of time I was able to talk with them individually. And they told me what they were feeling, they told me what they were thinking, and that went a long way to this decision today. Today is the 21st coach that we will introduce. And the reason why we're here is because it is a new beginning and a new era. The head coach that we had in mind, we developed a profile. The coach had to be Detroit-centric. We hoped the coach would be an alumnus, attended elementary school and high school in the area, has current relationships with high schools, Detroit high schools, and Catholic schools in the area, strong recruiter, academic focus, engaging, a grinder who outworks everyone, solid coaching skills, builds trust, impeccable character, strong set of core values, develop program goals, develops team goals, and develops a team identity. That's what we were looking for, and I know we found our guy. Bacari T. Alexander. I will let him tell you what the T means. Okay. Born and raised in Detroit, graduate of Southwestern High School, started college at Robert Morris University, 1999 graduate, Detroit Mercy, Bachelor of Science in Business Administration and Finance, so he knows how to handle a budget. Right, Coach?
That's right.
All right. Student athlete, men's basketball, Detroit Mercy. Helped Detroit Mercy to NCAA tournament appearances in 1998 and 99, where we defeated St. John's and UCLA in successive years. Received the President's Award in 1999 for being an outstanding student. Worked for the Detroit Pistons. Played for the Harlem Globetrotters. I talked to Jeremy McCool the other day. So the Globetrotters play the Washington Nationals, and so Jeremy McCool was on the Washington Nationals, but good buddies for a long period of time. So he said hello and thank you. Okay. Detroit Mercy from 2001 to 2007. Ohio University from 2007 to 2008. Western Michigan University from 2008 to 2010. The University of Michigan from 2010 to Okay, so I want to see that happen. Calligraphy and yoga at the same time. He's the husband of Keisha, the father of Makai, the brother of Tamika and Connie. He's a nephew, he's a cousin, he's a friend, he's a teammate. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Bacari Alexander, the new men's head basketball coach, University of Detroit Mercy. Welcome back and welcome home.
Thank you. I just want to see if you guys clap like that after the first couple games of the regular season. As I stand before you today, such a familiar territory to be in. We call this Titan territory. And the Titan territory is a place that teams fear, they respect, and our alum and alumna have adored for a very long time. We've had a great history and tradition here at the University of Detroit Mercy. From 1877 and 1941, when two traditions collided in 1990 to form the University of Detroit Mercy, we established this institution, on the premise of being student-centered. And in that thought process, one of the things we wanted to do is develop our student athletes, regardless of sport, in different ways. We want to develop them intellectually, spiritually, ethically, and socially, while giving them a world-class education sitting right here in the Great Lakes region. One of the things that we have also done here in men's basketball is we've celebrated a great tradition. Since 1905-06, when we started keeping the statistics on men's basketball teams, and the 109 teams that played before next season's group, we've always had blood, sweat, and tears, whether it was in the old Memorial Hall or here in Callahan Hall as we know it today. And the players that have come before me and the 20 coaches that have stood in front of podiums prior to my arrival, there's a great deal of respect, admiration, and love that we have for each and every one of those teams and those coaches. I'd like to give honor to God, who's at the head of my career, my life. I'd like to pay a great deal of gratitude to our president, Dr. Antoine Garibaldi, our director of athletics, Robert Viles, our board of trustees who have entrusted me with their student athletes, our search committee that was mentioned earlier specifically, as well as our leadership team here in athletics who's done a marvelous job of making student athlete welfare a priority for our young people. I'd like to thank our campus community, our neighborhoods, our churches, our city, local, state governments. We have Titans all throughout the world. Over 80,000 living alumni that are concerned and pay attention to what's going on here on McNichols and 6 Mile Road. And as I was having conversations with various teammates, alums, current employees, athletic directors, local high school coaches, whether that's the Catholic League, the Detroit PSL, Metro State, East Side, West Side, Mid-Michigan, and throughout the region, everybody shared one common thing. You can get it done at Detroit Mercy. They felt a great deal of pride in what has taken place before us. They felt a great deal of pride of the signs and symptoms of success that we enjoyed under the previous staffs. And they have a great deal of hope that we can continue to take things to a championship level in the future. I believed in that. I know you believe in that. And together we can get that done. I had the opportunity also to talk with a number of different people. And I wanted to take a moment to express, a bit of gratitude to those who came before. To Coach Ray McCallum and his wife, Wendy, I'd like to pay honor and respect to both of them. Their son, Ray, an exciting Titan in his own right, for their services to the university and their contributions to the Rafters. The NCAA tournament that was achieved back in 2013 was nothing short of exciting for all of us as alums, fans, and supporters of the program. And as we plow through into the future, and as we think back on our traditions, we talk about those that graduated from the traditional sense of the University of Detroit, the Old English D. We talk about those like myself that came out of UDM. But one thing we both can agree on moving forward is that we're all Titans. And we're Titans charged with the responsibility of going and taking things to a championship level. We're charged with the responsibility of recruiting and retaining world-class student athletes. We're charged with the responsibility of making sure that student athlete welfare across all of our 19 sports is handled. But we're also charged with the responsibility of operating with a great sense of urgency as we try to achieve championships right now. And my meeting this morning with the team was really exciting. I had an opportunity to talk with one of our seniors prior to our team getting together, and Chris Jenkins, a product of our Detroit Catholic League, UAD Jesuit High School, who Chris reminded me this morning that they won a state title this year. And I told Chris, I said, thanks for catching up. My high school teams won those too. And so we had a great deal of time together. And I was reminding him of some fun facts. My high school junior varsity coach, Carlton Johnson, had grew up with his father over in the Ralph Bunch community down there in and around the Lafayette area in downtown Detroit. And it was very interesting that his eyes had got big, and I said, yeah, it's a small community, and it's a new day. You're not going to be able to get away with much in this town on my watch. As we talked to the other team members, we asked them, what is their why? Why did you come to UDM? What did you hope to achieve? What were your dreams and what were your aspirations? And I provided to them what my why was too, that I'll share with you now. The reason why my wife and I are here is to help student athletes not only get to a championship level, but to develop as total people. And so I wanted to take a moment to pause and thank my lovely wife, Keisha, and our son, Makai, for all that they have done to get me to this point. Jermaine Jackson, one of our Titan greats, that's a 1,000-point club guy. I think he was inducted to the Hall of Fame, probably because he passed me the ball on the screen and roll more often than not. Was reminding Robert Viles of how Keisha and I met. And that's one of the elements of the great story here at UDM. I met my lovely bride over in the North Quad, biochemistry major. I couldn't pronounce half the classes that she was attending. But at the same time, there was an admiration for her studiousness, amongst other things. But in addition to that, the way we met was through the RA, the resident advisor on the floor, who was a regular student, non-student athlete. And those are the type of connections that we want to create with our team. The type of connections that we want to make sure that they have in the dorms, in the community, from their local high schools. Because again, there's a difference between coming to see our teams play. And for the students, there's a difference between coming to see their friends play. And so it's very important that we establish an atmosphere, an environment of class, tact, responsibility, but more importantly, accountability. There's going to be times where we take them out of their comfort zones in order to excel and perform, whether that be in the weight room, the classroom, the boardroom, or any room, because we're trying to prepare these young men not only to be good men, but eventually good husbands, good fathers, and community leaders. Our program is going to be built on 5 core values. Everything that we do from a recruiting standpoint, the assimilation of a staff, the way we choose our support staff members, managers, things alike, will be based on those core values. As a staff, we'll model the behavior that we expect out of our student athletes. We'll be connected. You'll see that permeate throughout the team when they take the floor at Callahan Hall. Those core values are unity, perseverance, appreciation, integrity, and diligence. Because like I shared with the team this morning, unity is something that builds strength for our guys. Perseverance builds toughness to adapt and overcome regardless of the obstacles. Appreciation, it builds perspective. You have to have an attitude of gratitude. We have a great philanthropic community in and around the city of Detroit and UDM that we will be asking for your help and your assistance in investing in our student athletes for years to come. We talk about integrity, doing the right things because it's the right things to do, because that integrity we know over time, period and tested and true, that it builds trust. And then diligence, we want to pound that stone every day. Come in, clock in, we want to go to work. This is a blue-collar town. I have some blue in my collar. And one of those reasons is that we live in a blue-collar town. When people come up and they're lined up out there at our ticket office to retrieve their tickets, they want to see a team that's going to go out there to work. They want to see a team that's getting floor burns. They want to see a team that can get a stop when their team needs to get a stop defensively. They want to see the team that moves the ball and shares the ball, set bone-crushing screens, high fives, things of that nature. Not complain about poor officiating when they're on the road, at Wisconsin, Milwaukee, amongst other places. We want to make sure that our young people understand that diligence is something that definitely builds respect. It's time to get respect back. It's our turn. It's our time. Titans old, Titans new, Old English D, UDM, we're Titans. And it's our time to return it. But in terms of our identity, there's also 5 components of our identity that I shared with the team this morning that we want to make sure that they are clear on. We're going to be a team that's going to play hard. The highest compliment you can give a coach is when he never has to coach you on effort. I learned that from my good friend David Greer, who I see in the back of the room, head coach at Wayne State University. We're going to be a team that's going to work smart. How many headaches do you see as I listen to the whispers over my left shoulder, the section of Titan Reggie, saying, make those turnovers hurt, take it to the hoop. You can clap to that. Titan Reggie, man, I love him to death. Wish he was here. We're going to be a team that's going to be tough. We're going to plow through situations, and we're going to show toughness because we're prepared for that moment. We're trained to be that. We're prepared for those moments. We're going to finish strong, and just as important, we're going to stay together. Handling success is going to be important for all of us. The coaching staff, the players, our alums. Of course, we've been waiting a long time to brag next to the water cooler. I see my good friend John Dieters out there smiling from ear to ear. And we want to make sure we do that. One of our trustees, Bill Young, that's no play on words. I know AbsoPure is one of our sponsors. But we want to brag next to the water coolers all throughout the country. because that's going to be our identity. And when I think about all of the people that's responsible for me standing before you here today, I also think about my teammates, some of which who are here today. I see our all-time leading scorer, Rashad Phillips, in the house. I see guys like Kevin Mondro. I see guys like Terrence Porter. I see guys like Jermaine Jackson. He's trying to audition for one of the assistant coaches spots. His first executive order was to pick me up from the hotel. He was early. Just like I told him to be early when he drops that pocket pass to me so I can dunk the ball. I figured if I just dunked the basketball, Dr. G, once a half, people that didn't really know the game would think I played well. And so that was very important, at that time. And again, as we talk about past, coaches and stuff that were here, I see Guy Murray sitting back there in the back, still pumping out championships for men's and women's track. Our women's, and men's lacrosse teams, as well as soccer. We're doing so many great things all throughout the department with softball, things of that nature. I see John Walsky with the Detroit Tigers organization, who was running around making sure that Coach Watson had that nice piping hot cup of coffee. I see my good buddy back there, Lucius Broom, who probably has a campaign sign up and down the street, trying to get me to come back here to UDM. And a host of other people, public school league coaches, Catholic school league coaches, Titan members, the old Rhodes Scholars. I see you out there. We got to reinvigorate that. High school coaches, mentors. Larry Pierce is here. My family, friends, in-laws. And just as important, the coaches that came before me that mentored me as a coach. I'd be remiss not to mention the legendary and great Perry Watson. St. Perry, as some of you call him, was a man that was committed to the city. He laid down a template of how you can enjoy success and do it in a very classy way. How you can be a good student and do it in an exemplary way. How you can beat teams and show respect to them without fear. All of those principles were important and was laid down from our high school teams at Detroit Southwestern to the teams that he coached as an assistant in Ann Arbor at the University of Michigan, as well as the talent that he brought here and the staffs that he assembled here during his time at the University of Michigan. And all of those great coaches, I see another one in the back, Mickey Barrett, tremendous, tremendous asset to the program. And as Coach Watson assembled those groups and those teams, he knew that coaching was more like an eternity. Your influence really never stops. And that's why I stand before you today. That's why we have players, whether it be from our Southwestern family, our UDM family, and others are doing great things. And that's what we're talking about. Tim O'Shea at Ohio University was a tremendous mentor of mine. Tim was the type of guy that understood the student-athlete relationship. He was terrific at making bonds. A very spontaneous coach that would have us in the team charter bus and turn to the best player and said, "Hey, where would you guys like to eat?" And one of our big fellas at the time, Leon Williams, I remember he'd say, "Cheesecake Factory, Coach." And he would pull right up to the Cheesecake Factory. It was awesome. But that was Tim. And then Steve Hawkins. Had a great opportunity to speak with him last night as he was driving down to Indianapolis to start the recruiting period here for our last leg of April. And he was not only congratulating me, but he said, "Oh man, we got to reinvigorate that series, Coach, between Western Michigan and UDM." And then, of course, John Beilein. Coach Beilein is one of the finest coaches in our game. A great tactician, a great leader, a man of high moral, ethical character, and a great developer of talent. And a lot of people think that talent is just a talent that goes on the court. That talent is also amongst our coaching staff. And I had a great deal of fun there with our student athletes, some who ascended to the highest levels of the game, some who did great things and are doing great things in business, IBM and other companies like that. And is that experience that I had at the University of Michigan, Western Michigan, Ohio University, and here at UDM that shaped me into what I'm becoming. You know, as we get into questions about style of play and how we're going to look on the floor, can he do the X's and O's? I've been with some really good guys. We're going to play a very exciting brand of ball. We're going to play fast with responsibility in terms of taking care of the basketball. They will have a ton of freedom offensively. They will have zero freedom defensively. As we talk about putting together a staff, you know, we'll start looking into those things as we go through the coming weeks. You know, we hope to get, you know, the great majority of them in place, you know, sooner rather than later. But we're going to be very deliberate about that. We're going to make sure that we identify the right people. You know, we're going to make sure that we identify the right character. We're going to make sure we identify people that know how to connect with people, but most importantly, people that care about young people. A mentorship, character, the ability to make connections. And I'll be leading those guys and so they know how to be seen and how not to be seen, how to balance out that passion and that emotion, how to make suggestions, even when I don't listen to them, and still go out and be together. And there's no shortage of interest in that area. So we'll take a look at all people from all walks of life throughout the country, believe it or not, that will fit and mimic and understand our Detroit community. We will recruit from the inside out. We'll look at teams and student athletes, you know, in our city, in our Catholic League schools, in our suburban communities, metro, state, east side, west side, mid-Michigan, regionally, and our relationships, to bring the best student athletes that's going to propel us to levels that we hadn't seen in quite some time. In addition to that, we're going to compete. Everyone's talking about a rivalry, Dr. Garibaldi, Robert Viles, with our friends up north. But they're also our partner. Here in the metropolitan area, we're looking to embrace that rivalry, but rivalries only can occur when you win games. Let me say that again. Rivalries only can occur when you win games. And I think it's very important that we learn how to compete in practice, because you got to beat drills before you can beat opponents. You got to get to classes before you can earn degrees. You have to respect people before you can fill the stands. And that's very, very important. So all of the units here on campus expect us to be very visible. Expect, you know, us to be our best selves. Expect us to do all the things that's necessary. And I remember being introduced to the game years ago by one of my closest mentors, who I'm very blessed and fortunate that he was able to be here today, and that's Reverend Kehinde Briggs, standing over there from the Pan-African Orthodox Christian Church. Coach Briggs used to carry us around the Adam Butzel Recreation Center, the Considine Rec. You know, we had a little basement gym down there on Linwood Avenue. We called it the Dust Bowl. And we would go in there, and I can always hear him say, man, don't be last, don't ever be last. And that was always his mantra to us. And I remember those lessons. And we'll remember those lessons as we look at the Horizon League standings and as we compete each and every day. Because at the end of the day, that's what Titans do. Thank you very much. Water? Sorry. Yeah, thanks so much. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, I was instructed, I got my first directive from the president to take some questions. And I'm going to remove this hat because it's not the NBA draft yet. Chris, you hear that back there? Jaleel? It's not the NBA draft yet, so I'm going to take this cap off and and answer a couple questions. Go ahead, don't all speak at once. That's questions for the media. Titan Club members, you'll get your chance next week. I know you guys got a lot of questions. I'm sorry, say that again. I can barely hear you. So the question was, from what I saw from a distance, what did I see going on in this program? I am embarrassed to say I wasn't able to really concentrate on the day-to-day occurrences that took place here at UDM in our past teams. And a lot of times as the assistant coach, you know, John Wooden said this best, your job is to assist the coach. So in that regard, I'm spending a lot of time with our student athletes, spending a lot of time making sure that I'm making the head coach's job easy. When my fellow teammate joined the staff, Jermaine Jackson, you know, I do admit sneaking and watching a couple of WADL telecasts and catching the team and seeing them play. And one of the things that I noticed was this was a high-octane group offensively that scored a great deal of points. And as I was doing some research and study in preparation for this appointment, I noticed that was something, you know, to the degree that we can, that, you know, we'd like to, you know, try to preserve. But there's balance, you know, to the game, you know, where you want to be able to score, you know, the basketball, but you also want to be able to get key stops, which, believe it or not, feeds into scoring. So those are some of the blink observations that I noticed with the team at that time. I noticed that there was some talent there. A very versatile group, seemed real heavy on wings. Wasn't quite sure what the point guard situation was or the center situation was at that time, but that's something that we'll, you know, kind of look into and explore as we move forward. What does it mean to me to be able to come back? I've been waiting on that question for 15 seasons. What it means to me to come back to 6 Mile, as we called it in the neighborhoods, and Livernois, you know, I felt compelled. I had a number of different coaches, you know, from the Detroit PSL, the Catholic League, like I mentioned before, former teammates, former coaches, former mentors. When the job opened, they reached out to me unsolicited. Now, I was hopeful that they were calling me about players to come to Ann Arbor, but they were saying, Coach, you know, it's time for you to come home. And one of the things that I talked to my family about privately, you know, my sister Tamika, who I see in the house, my aunt Sheila, that's in the house, is timing. A lot of times you have to prepare for these moments. You might think you're ready, youthful exuberance takes over and you think you're ready, but preparedness is just as vital. And as I was talking to one of my mentors at length about this opportunity, as I was hearing it, Greg Harden, who's sitting up here with his lovely wife Shalea from the University of Michigan, one of our top athletic directors, associate athletic directors, we were just talking about what Detroit is going through right now. I was able to run into Dr. Garibaldi by happenstance at an event down at the Detroit Opera House called Homecoming Detroit, which brought together people from local, state, sports figures, and they were discussing the investment and the vision that they had for the city of Detroit in its comeback. And it compelled me in ways that heightened my interest. I was also compelled as I started, you know, looking at it a little bit closer to the vision of Dr. Garibaldi and Robert Viles and all the things that was taking place, because from the time I walked out of the door in 2007 to now, I was not aware of all the changes that had occurred. I wasn't aware that the basketball offices were redone. I wasn't aware of the fact that We built a student rec center. I wasn't aware of all of the renovations that took place in our academic buildings. I wasn't aware of all of the looming phase projects that we have looming with regards to housing. And each and every moment, coupled with the fact of, Jermaine Jackson whispering in my ear, man, you'd be an idiot not to take that job. I was really excited. So it means a lot to me because I think we can align our rise with the city of Detroit's rise and do it in a way that's not only special, but more importantly, is sustainable. Good. Thank you.
Thanks everybody for coming out. Anybody want to do a one-on-ones with anybody that is on the stage here? Bacari will be made available. Thank you for coming, and go Titans, everybody. Thanks.
Thank you so much.